Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today I wanted to go over a quote by Emmet Fox, which came from this sermont on the Mount. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but at least it was a quote from his and we wanted to go over it for this video. He stated the following: all day long the thoughts that occupy your mind, your secret place, as Jesus calls it, are molding your destiny for good or evil. In fact, the truth is that the whole of our life's experience is but the outer expression of inner thought. Now, of course, throughout all of our videos we talk about this. We have mentioned this many times. However, it's important to learn this from personal experience for most part, because that's why many people who hear about this for the first time don't really understand it or accept it. I regularly still talk to people in my private time, and if I even were to mention about the power of their mind, they look at me a little odd, a little strange, like, what is that all about? What are you talking about? It sounds kind of weird. It is weird to them because they probably haven't taken the time to analyze what we actually teach over here. So what I wanted to share with you today was, you might have noticed I wasn't uploading for a few days on this channel, and that was because I did a little experiment for myself again. I was like, I'm going to take a break from my work, and I'm going to accept this break and be totally peaceful and fine with it. The thing is, I used to be very workaholic, driven person. I would never feel I could rest, ever. I would almost think everything would be bad if it wasn't involved with my purpose. Now that is a very unhealthy way to live. Of course, it can help you get things done, perhaps even faster than people who don't have that attitude. But of course, you also gotta enjoy life and not be so obsessed with just achieving things alone, forgetting that there's a beauty around us all the time, with our friends, perhaps family, or nature in general. There's all sorts of wonderful things that we could experience in this very moment. But if we are too obsessed with just taking action on our dreams alone, we might miss track of that. So I took the break and I mentally decided that I was going to do it. Because as Neville would say, and as Emmet would say, and Troward would say, all these wonderful teachers would say, is that, the outer expression is only there because of how we are thinking and imagining inside of our minds. So the thought was, I'm going to accept this and I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to allow peaceful and positive thoughts to flow through my consciousness for these days. Now I did that and I can confirm, yes, everything is a lot better than when I didn't do it. So for me that is an experiment through which, again, I discovered that the outer expression, the way they are, is based on how I'm thinking inside my mind. Another example I would tell people sometimes is, think about it when you want to go take a drink. Very rapidly inside your consciousness you make a decision and you start to think about what that drink would be. You have some preferences of what you enjoy drinking, perhaps. Maybe it's just water, or maybe you like fruit juice or some soda, whatever it is that you crave at times. But there's a thought, and then once you have that drink in your hand, it sounds so obvious, of course. Once the drink is in your hand, that is an expression physically of inner thought. Now that might sound like a bit of a ridiculous example, where it's like, well, that can't really help me achieve great things by knowing that. Well, the thing is, by knowing that, you start to realize, okay, if it works for simple little mundane things in life, which it does, can I then use this same approach for realizing my dream? Can I actually make my physical reality reflect the dream inside my mind? And yes, you can do that, even though at first it might sound a bit like you have supernatural powers, because most people, again, don't understand the whole process behind it. And the way to understand it is through these small experimentations. At least that's just how it went for me throughout my studies over the last 12 years. I would just do simple little things and analyze, well, yeah, I guess this happened because I was thinking in a certain way. So now I am thinking about a form of success and achievement and purpose for my life that is bigger than anything I've ever done before. And I have noticed that as long as I hold on to that purpose inside my consciousness, that I'm forever compelled to move in that direction. So even though I took a break for a few days, as I said in a previous video a while back, it is pretty difficult still for me to take a break for maybe multiple weeks or a month. I can't do it. I would know, like, hey, I have all these ideas flowing around, I want to share them with humanity. I can't just be doing nothing with these ideas. So you see, that is because I've already trained myself to understand this process. What will happen for you if you experiment with this? Well, no matter what your dream is, hold on to it inside your consciousness. If you do just one thing, and if you are actually emotionally in harmony with that thought, that is when your outer reality starts to become a reflection of your inner world in a way that you want it to be. Because right now it already is, but for most of us the problem is it's not reflecting what we really want, what we really enjoy. We might be stuck in a job we don't like. How do you get out of it? You start to get out of a job by thinking about a better job or a totally different career. You start to entertain that idea inside your thoughts, and as you do so, the outer expressions of your life will change around in order to reflect that new career that you were thinking about inside your consciousness. This is no joke. I have seen people do this quite recently in my private life again. Perhaps it is true because I'm more in touch with them personally and able to talk with them, unlike somebody that is just watching my videos. It's easier for me to help zoom them in on what is to be realized for them, but still, the point remains the same. They had to start thinking about it for themselves. You see, I'm not the one that's going to achieve their dreams for them. I'm not taking the actions for them. What I do help them do is remember. You gotta just think about your own dream in your own beautiful and mysterious ways. The God, the universe will help you out. Personally, individually, it does so for everyone. You're not excluded from this process at all. You don't have to feel like that. You just have to understand how your consciousness works. This quotation from Emmet Fox is just another reminder of how your mind works. And by listening to stuff like this, by reading that and then applying it, experimenting with it, then you learn to actually develop more and more wisdom and insights and power as well to do interesting and great things for yourself and with your life. Because what I've seen is that there's also many people out there who study metaphysical teachings, but the only thing they essentially do is read or listen to videos on YouTube in this case, and then nothing changes for them because they're more in the habit of just listening and forgetting that it's also important to apply it. It is about listening to great ideas and then applying the idea in your own life. That's what really counts. That's when everything starts to improve for you. It is as long as you don't apply the teachings that stuff can't happen for you, or at least not easily. Then it might still be tricky to understand your secret place. Your secret place reminded me of this other part in quotation from scripture that was about go into your closet and pray. Of course, with closet we don't necessarily mean go into a physical closet. We do mean go into your own mind. Look away from sense perception, like close your eyes for example. Don't pay attention to the physical reality as it is now, but go into your own mind, your own imagination, and then see what you're praying for. See the fulfillment, feel the fulfillment of your desires. Impress it upon your subconscious mind all over again, which is indeed connected to the mind of God. It is to the subconscious mind on a vibratory level, on an energetic level. You literally create waves through the atmosphere. I know these are very technical terms and I haven't really studied them for that much myself, but I know there have been a few wonderful authors and philosophers who did research all of this based on scientific evidence on how the universe works and what energy does, because everything is a form of energy, and how it is influenced by the way we think and feel inside consciousness. These things do exist. There have been tests on this, there's paperwork that can be found on that. But if you don't want to go that deep, you don't have to go that deep. Sometimes I do it, but then I also feel like I have to crawl out of this rabbit hole again, because the terms and descriptions might become so vague and bizarre that nobody keeps up, because it's not very that important to know in order to live a fulfilled life at the end of the day. So all day long, the thoughts that occupy your mind, inside your secret place you could say, meaning inside your consciousness, are molding your destiny for good or evil. In fact, the truth is that the whole of our life's experience is but the outer expression of inner thought. This isn't always easy to accept, especially when we're dealing with bad things that may have happened to you, or perhaps are currently even happening to others or to ourselves. Because then it's like, well, you know, I don't think I'm using my thoughts to mold a evil destiny for myself. Again, we can only say this is true, and I think the smartest way to go about this is that instead of worrying then so much about, oh, did I cause this evilness to come upon me, or you want to defend yourself about saying, no, I never think that negative, I didn't want any of this. Instead, just understand, well, you still have the power to use the thoughts in your mind to create a destiny for good, for something good in yourself. You're going to have to start thinking with a purpose every single day. Listening to videos like mine and other people and reading books and lectures, whatever it is helpful and useful to keep reminding you of the power that you hold within yourself. But ultimately, it's about the application of the idea. So in this case, you're going to simply have to analyze for yourself all day long the thoughts that occupy your mind, inside your secret place, meaning your consciousness. They're molding your destiny for good or evil. What are you thinking about most of the time? Like Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, a person is what they think all day long. Or it was something along that line. I'm sorry, it wasn't the exact line. I guess I could say I'm paraphrasing here. But that was one quotation of his that is pretty famous. But again, very, very true. And it's something you can discover for yourself as you start experimenting with it. Instead of letting the world disturb you during a potential pandemic or whatever is going on in general in the world right now, understand yourself the power to think positive. You have the ability to think on positive terms for yourself and your future, no matter what the government would do. Of course, there might be some restrictions here and there, but there is still this power within you that can allow you to think in positive terms so that you can create a good and beautiful destiny for yourself. And this all happens inside your secret place, which is your own consciousness, which is your own imagination, which is the realm of your own feelings. If those hook up, if those sync up in the right way inwardly inside of yourself, then outwardly things will start to change around over time for you. There is no exception to this. It works every time. Again, just another reminder, if you can't fulfill what you set out to do physically speaking in this lifetime, it is part of you. Your dream is part of you and your consciousness, and consciousness simply expands and moves on, even if you were to croak, so to speak. So that's all I had to share for you right now. And very soon we're going to go on with even more points of Emmet Fox and other great teachers, because this is so very, very fascinating to me to always study for myself and then experiment. See, I take the time in my own life to experiment with it, because how else can you share these ideas with people if you don't know what you're talking about? Now, everything I shared so far at least was based on what I have seen from personal experience and what has worked for me. Perhaps this won't work for you all the time, but hopefully the idea on and of its own can be a nice reminder in a way then that you have this power for good or evil, and it depends on how you're using your consciousness, your imagination, and the way you feel. And the beautiful part is you can direct those at will. You don't have to be a victim of negative thoughts and feelings. You can become a great creator within this universe, and that is the beauty of life. Now, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.